Thank you very much, and a very warm welcome to everyone, and good afternoon as well. So, the topic, as she was mentioning, it's the role of digital interventions in capital program delivery, and specifically in the renewable energy space. I think that's what we are here to discuss. That's the expo about. So, I think renewable energy, obviously, if you see, it has gone through a huge, transition, transformation, and what's going to happen in the future is also very clear. I mean, currently, as we speak, maybe the numbers could be here or there. We are talking about 150 gigawatts of installed capacity or more than that. But we are going to reach somewhere around 500 gigawatts. I think that's the mission that we have by 2030. Now, what it obviously means is, the numerous projects that are currently going on, right? And they are, which are going to be announced, which are going to be executed, and so on. And these projects at the scale and size that we are talking of, I don't think we in India have ever seen it, right? And we were having a discussion some time back with some of the panelists here that, of course, China was at a certain scale and stage and so on. But for us to deliver these programs, I think it's a very, very different scale and size that we're talking of. And hence, right, I think conventional methods of program management, capital delivery, transitioning into O&M, right, and also the asset management part that we were discussing, I think it's going to be significantly different, right, as we are talking of. And also now with the advent of artificial intelligence that we are all speaking of. And renewable energy, as you all know, it's a subject which has multiple dimensions to that. I mean, you start with solar and plus storage that we are talking of, wind plus storage, the hybrid systems that we are talking of, the green hydrogen, and so on and so forth. So there is a big landscape, right? And with the the element, in terms of these complexities that are increasing in terms of the capital program delivery, I think it's very, very important to have the right digital interventions across the landscape. And for that, we have our esteemed guests here, who will be joining us in dwelling on this critical issue and critical topic that we are. And they come with huge experience in their own field. They are masters of the game and functional leaders, CEOs and all. So I think without much ado, I'll quickly ask them to introduce themselves while I can, but I think it would be good if you can start introducing yourselves. Maybe let's start with you, Manoj.
Hello. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Manoj Kumar Goyal. I am leading the engineering team in Hexaclimate, India. We are net zero decarbonization company. We are already in Japan, Indonesia, Malaysia, Taiwan. In India, we started in October 2023. We just completed 1 year in this sector. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Manoj. Vaibhav?
Thanks, Manoj. I'm Vaibhav, and I'm basically a project planning, management, and cost control, construction management background. I've had almost last decade of experience in digitizing a lot of initiatives across many organizations in project management, in capital program delivery, or infrastructure management, as we say. Right now, I'm heading strategy, project planning, supply chain, regulatory and policy advocacy, and Aditya Birla Renewables. Yep.
Thank you, Vaibhav. Lakshit?
Good afternoon. I'm Lakshit Avla, CEO SAIL. So we are a 7.5 gigawatt company, across module manufacturing, IPP, rooftop solar, and cell manufacturing as well.
Thank you. Sudhir?
Hi. Good morning, maybe I think good noon all. I'm Sudhir Pathak. I'm taking care of design, engineering, quality assurance, WRA, and the Green Hydrogen Technology Initiatives in Hero Future Energies. Hero Future Energies has 2.2 gigawatt of operating assets, and we have just won several complex bids, which is like round-the-clock load following tenders and peak power, solar plus BESS, and so on and so forth. And now we are having 5.2 gigawatt in our portfolio. As a power professional, I am almost 3 decades I'm into power sector. From ITBHU, I did my graduation and worked with NTPC public sector, and then to private sector into the RE space. Yeah, happy to be here and share my thoughts. Thanks.
Thank you. Vivek?
Thank you, Mahim, and thank you, Sudhir. Vivek Srivastav, the company needs no introduction, Suzlon. I'm currently working as the CEO of the India business. I had a checkered career in energy, both forms of legacy energy and the new energy, including mobility. Have always enjoyed this journey and currently very keenly observing the manner in which this energy transition is taking shape and throwing up opportunities, both in the main business and in what we are discussing today. Currently, I am leading a team trying to transition the entire business from an X to a 3.5X level and also expanding horizontally. Thank you.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. Myself, Gaurav Jaitak. I'm part of Welspun New Energy team. So as a Welspun group, we are mainly a textile and a steel behemoth. We have done like $5 billion group. And this is a second inning for Welspun Energy. From 11 to 16, we were the leader in the renewable space. We started doing from 5 megawatt project to as big as 300 megawatt project. And in the second avatar, we are focusing more on the green hydrogen derivatives, as well as our group captive projects. And as a professional, like I have leading engineering in Welspun New Energy. And in my past, I have dealt with digitization in my day-to-day works, when we use in our design works. Thank you.
Am I audible? Yeah, hi. So then let's kickstart the proceedings, and thank you very much, our guests here. So I think let's start with, and as I was mentioning, it's a journey, right, that we are in. And all said and done, while we have been in renewable for a very long time, but still it's still in the nascent stage when it comes to digitalization. That's what we believe. But I think it would be good to have your views, in terms of how do you believe, or what do you believe is the current maturity levels of the digital interventions in the capital delivery space, right? If I may bring this up. And I know maybe we can start with Vivek, if you want to kickstart the discussions on this one.
Thank you, Mahim. This question is a is a difficult one because it depends upon the organizational intent and maturity. We know the plethora of technologies, the integration opportunities they offer, and what is now commonplace, I would say. It's no longer about hypothesis. It's about the generative AI and its capabilities. When I look at the digital interventions, one has to look at what are the needs of the organization? What is it actually focused upon? If it is an organization which is predominantly into manufacturing, there the digital landscape is pretty well known. And I think the company has to decide what journey it wants to take. It is not easy to embark upon a fully automated, RPA robotized kind of environment. Similarly, coming to the companies which are in the segment of, if I can say, putting up energy assets for their clients, or companies which are putting up energy assets for generation, selling it to clients or to government, the journey actually starts from the business case, and then in the project, in the capital program delivery, I always look at two different parts. One is the project development part. I think we tend to miss a lot of it in our focus on project execution. So I always look at it more as an iceberg principle. 9 parts is the first part. The 10th part is the last one. What you do in the project development part. And I can give you simple illustrations about today when we do projects, the kind of scenario building that has to be done even around basic estimates, around de-risking that. What happens if, there is a war that erupts? What happens if the supply chain gets disrupted? We all saw how the entire capital program delivery was disrupted post-COVID and also after the Ukraine war. Most of us actually put it on the supply chain, but if you go back deep and see some of the conversations with the governments and some of the conversation with the clients, it was also around the scenario of what we call capital budget building also. It may be a very small part, but be it engineering, be it budgeting, be it the delivery, the scheduling, that part is something which I think organizations need to focus first, rather than looking at execution. Yes, execution is critical, but in execution, again, most of the renewable energy projects that we are currently doing, and I'm leaving out for a moment green hydrogen and huge storage businesses, which are a league of their own, they're all distributed projects. They're actually projects that are spread across various land masses, across various geographies. And there, the digital interventions that are required compared to what would be required in a stand-alone or in a one-location refinery or a petrochemical complex would be very different. So without getting into the details, which I think as we progress in this conversation we will do, my response is look at which tools, horses for courses, rather than a generic view on the digital interventions.
Thank you. Thanks, Vivek, and thanks for this iceberg thing and how development is also so important. And Lakshit, I think from the CEO's perspective, I think, and my question is specifically, when you look at the development, and I've seen the transition that you have also made from few megawatts to gigawatts that we're talking of, where is the current maturity level, and what's the maybe some of the potential areas that you can look at, when it comes to the renewable energy development?
Renewable energy as an industry has matured over a period of time. And if I talk about, specifically O&M, there are tools which are available on the, for example, remote monitoring or radiation detection, which makes it much easier for organizations to make decisions, while bidding for projects. Now there are SCADA systems which are much more advanced in order to help us understand where we are going wrong. But specifically, if I talk about EPC, where we've seen a few challenges. Because of various stakeholders such as like contractors or various suppliers, it becomes slightly difficult for for someone to manage the under construction projects, even though personally we've been using softwares for project monitoring, and it has helped us in a way that the 2-hour meeting that we used to have finishes in about half an hour. So that has made a lot of difference. So I think digitalization will be the future, and we should all look at it as a way forward.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. I think that's the thing. I think, but in terms of still the maturity, are we still talking of reporting and thing? I think that's a question that I would want to dwell on this deeper on this, and maybe Vaibhav, if you want to take a stab at that current maturity level, so in the landscape that we are talking of, right? And what's the potential? Which areas you believe have the biggest potential?
Yeah, thanks, Mahim. And I'll just start taking a cue from what Vivek mentioned, that, obviously the maturity depends upon the individual organization, where the organization is in the maturity of the entire life cycle, right? So there are organizations which have just started. There are organizations like Suzlon, we have been existing for decades. So you just cannot have a simple single answer for this, right? But if we talk today, at least most of the organization, I would say 90% of them are relatively very new, right? And within those 90% of the organizations, I would say not more than 10 or 15% are actually looking digitization in a very holistic way, right? In an integrated way. So yes, for reports, I mean, I was surprised, I asked someone, what is, how good is digitization in an organization? And they would say, Weber, do you mean digitization or you mean digitalization? So I was surprised. I mean, what's the difference between the two? And what that guy told me, very senior guy, and he told Weber, how we have classified it is that what we were doing on paper, if you're doing it in, say, a Word or an Excel, we call it as, digitalization. And beyond that, if you do something that's called digitization, I thought it's very, though it's enlightening and it's convenient, but I thought always that, Excel and Word is already a forsaken thing, right? But if you talk to a generation, maybe a prior, so this is, the kind of, feedback you get on maturity, right? So, and obviously when the world is looking at putting, AI to use, which is obviously there, you get even confused as an organization where you should even start up. So reporting, definitely yes. Coming back to your question, reporting, just reporting, I would not at least term it as digitization. It's basic hygiene these days. I mean, when you can just open your Amazon and you can look at how much you have ordered in last year, right? They can give you what you're ordering, right? So when you are expecting a car, coming to your doorstep in next 5 minutes, just because you pushed out a phone, when you're expecting groceries to be delivered in 9 minutes, why are we having this kind of a, step brotherly, look and feel towards our project delivery, which is so much capex incentive. So maturity obviously is, I would say it's low. Currently many people get happy if they see a report which is having some colors, having some flavor to it. But what beyond that, as you rightly mentioned?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think, and what I hear from you is, I think while there are point solutions, point things, but do we have really an integrated view, right, of the entire program development cycle? And then, of course, we are not even touching on the O&M side, and we'll get into that. So I think from there, let's get into some deep diving, maybe a functional kind of a thing. And Sudhir, if I may pick your brain, right, and engineering design, and after that I'll come to Manoj, you as well. But on the engineering design and those elements, where are we on the digitalization journey? I mean, is it still there in an isolated way? How is that integrated and so on?
Yeah, thanks, Ram. So, see, let me give some perspective. So, I have seen thermal plant development and I've seen RE. So, what I keep on saying that typically in an RE plant, 95% of the story is written when you execute it, right? And we as design people, we are the Brahmas. We create. If we do not create properly, we destroy, right? So that's why now with the 5 gigawatt every year kind of tendering, it is very, very important that how to get this executed from India's panorama perspective. So definitely, yes, we are much, much, much into it. Let me give some perspectives. From the concept to execution to commissioning and then operations, right? So first of all, let me give a very small example of only small RE, wherein it is solar or wind. Then I will add further to it. So if we go to the execution part or design part, at the concept level, we have to see that we have to, while we are designing or doing any kind of drawing management, what we say as an EDMS, right? Engineering Drawing Management System. So what as an organization we are doing, whatever we review the drawing, our OEMs, our vendors, they upload the drawing on an online portal, which is completely digital. Then it is being reviewed with a very clear TAT all across. If I have a team of 35 people, then it is known that which drawing is being reviewed by whom. They are already being mapped. And then whenever this drawing is approved, that goes seamlessly to our projects as a release for construction, right? And giving a preview of, again, a quality, because I'm also taking care of quality. So drawing, engineering, and quality and projects, they go hand in hand. From that perspective, like whatever drawings we are giving, there should be a common portal in which my quality person is able to retrieve the drawing. Second thing, since our quality person has to go and inspect at the works, also they have to go at the site and inspect the whatever execution is going on. So there should be a seamless integration in all those processes. So what we have and what we are aspiring and what we are planning, in a common portal, we have the daily project report which my execution provides. Like, let me give an example. Suppose you have to do a kind of a high run rate of piling in the solar plant, right? So for each pile, let us take an example, it is 1.4 meter depth of pile, 300 mm dia. It's a pi r square h of kind of calculation, right? So if my quality person knows that today 1,000 piles has been executed, from there, if he gets this information quickly, seamlessly, he gets to know that yes, now from that perspective, I know that how much of cement, concrete, and aggregate has poured into it. From that, he can find out whether RFIs has been raised for those quantum or not. And he will see, as per the engineering drawing, these quantum of piling are to be done. Here depth is 1.4, it is 1.8. So from digital intervention perspective during execution phase, It is imperative because now we're executing 500 megawatt of plant at one location. That's why I'm giving a perspective of digital intervention from design, quality, and execution perspective. Giving ahead one more point, we have developed a software I have codenamed as a Maverick, wherein we have developed a software because now you have lakhs and lakhs of modules shipping into your place where you have to keep on executing and installing over MMS, right? So now you don't know whatever you are telling. See, earlier we used to have models from China. What used to happen? In China, whenever you have the, you can say flash test reports, it is shipped over the ship. Then what happens? It takes 15 days to ship to India and then get to your site. You can allocate the modules sweetly manually, right? But now we have, being the domestic focus, overnight modules come to your place. So you need to automate that. So we have developed an in-house software called Maverick. It is module allocation, verification, and control, wherein we can automatically allocate the modules and then get it verified as well, whether it has been executed well or not. So what I'm trying to say, at each and every step, there has to be a digital intervention as far as concept to commissioning is concerned. Last point which I wanted to convey, now the world has gone much beyond only solar or only wind. Now we have gone to solar plus wind plus battery and now to green hydrogen or derivatives, wherein European Union has asked for kind of a balancing act because we have to prove that yes, my hydrogen is green, my ammonia or methanol is green. So there is a very strict regulation in European Union. So I think there itself we have to go for a technology like blockchain, which can do a mass balancing and really tell you, yes, how much component is going to be. So now digital intervention is not a luxury, it is a necessity. Without which you can't move without that.
No, absolutely. Manoj, any additional thing on the
Yes.
deep dive on the functional part?
Yeah, I just want to start from the last word of Sudhir sir, necessity, because the digitalization is nothing, it is the deliverance of the project. In renewable sector, we have different segments like procurement, engineering, O&M, project management, all these things. How to improve the efficiency of all different segments. So for that, we need something that can coordinate seamlessly among all stakeholders, because to digitalization mainly the how to deliver project on the time, within the budget, how to find out the risk of the project. So for example, while looking at the renewable projects, the first thing is the site selection. So if you look at the site selection, that is a very massive task if you are going to a solar projects, the 4 acres per megawatt. Or nowadays, the all tenders are coming up 1,000 megawatt to 200 megawatts. So just imagine how much land is required. This land is not available in a single patch. They are in different parcels as well, because the time has gone when you are getting 300 megawatt project single-handed patch. So how to assess complete that much length of land parcel in one go? So we need some tools that can easily analyze the complete land profile, survey, and preparing the report. And this report is available for each and every stakeholder for analyzing. Yeah. So that is the one of my view. Second, I would like to add a few more points on what you started. It is related to the delivery of the project. We have target of 500 gigawatt till we have to achieve in 2030. So in 2024, we have achieved 200 gigawatt. So remaining 300 gigawatt we have to achieve in next 6 years. It means the amount of plants we have to set up around 50 gigawatt every year. So just imagine how we can deliver so much high capacity in such a short time. So definitely industry needs digitalization. So we have to be mature in the process of digitalization.
Right. No, absolutely. And thanks for bringing this up. And that's a good time to get Gaurav in. I mean, the mega scale that we're talking of, right? And you have seen the transition in your past and also your current.
Yeah, I want to just add from where he has stopped. See, now digitization, AI, these are the buzzwords. Even our kids knows, what we are talking about. I was teaching my 6-year-old son, in his exam science paper, this was the work, like what is AI, what is digitization. I was trying to explain him. Now, this is the bread and butter now, I can say. And, what has happened is, like he said, the land, first step for any development, solar, wind, or any green ammonia, first thing you're going to hit the ground. And land, what parcels we are talking about, to just reach 500 gigawatt, the big houses of, India, targeting 100 gigawatts each. So we are talking about acres of land. Just to give you a perspective, Delhi area is somewhere around 1.8 lakh acres. In Khavda region of Gujarat, the overall development, what is happening is somewhere around 12 lakh acres. This 12 lakh acre, I'm talking about the overall 40 lakh acre, which is usable, where you can develop something. 50% is the sanctuary area where you can't do anything. And within this 12 lakh acre, in the quick delivery time, our management asks, as an engineering, like go and tell us that whether this land is usable or not. And what used to happen earlier, the plant sizes we are discussing, 50 megawatt, 100 megawatt, 300 megawatts, up to 1500 acre land, physically you can go at site and evaluate what are good and bad ugly parts. But now when we are talking about, I've worked to a parcel which was 55,000 acre at a single location. And then we have to say yes or no quickly in a week's time that is it possible to develop that plant or not. Considering Khavda region, high corrosion, water, it's close to the border area. Water is a major problem. It's high flooded for almost 6 months across the year. So what we do? There comes these digitizations, AI tools. We quickly had a consultant. We did an hydrology study. We did the mapping of the area. We got some open source data. We bought some data. And within a week's time, we were able to tell what are the good parcels. Within that whole chunk, we could carve out this, okay, this 40,000 acre is a good one, where we can start from day one also. And the remaining area, we need a significant amount of land development. So that cost, like I was discussing with Vaibhav also, see, land cost is not much. But nowadays, you cannot reject a land just by saying, okay, these are the challenges there. I myself have rejected so many land by just saying, this land has so much slope, this is not constructible. But now this answer is not acceptable to anyone because we are anyway, shortage of land. So what I'm saying is, this digitalization tools, these help us to, get these land selected and start the project. So this is the first phase at which we start. And obviously, as we move ahead during our engineering, as Sudhir sir said that, okay, there are tools which we use on day in, day out, basis for our drawing exchange, other stuff. And then, in the construction stage also, there is a very important aspect. Now, management wants a very good dashboard, where you're able to show what is happening at the site. Nowadays, people, if you are asking, we constructed one 40-kilometer transmission line in my previous organization. We were getting a report, okay, 10 locations, work is still pending, this much stringing is there. And again, quickly, we had a company, we flew a drone, we could get the quality reports, we could get the exact knowledge, which all stringing has been done, which part is missing. And in a week's time, we get a full report to the management, okay, this is the status. And what was the pain area, actual pain area, 2 or 3 spots, we could take care of that. And, we moved ahead. And then further, as digitization is coming so good, now we are using so many robotics, as you heard in this, RE Expo. Even this robotics, when we are doing these manual cleaning, these robotics are, all AI driven. Earlier, when you used to do manual cleaning, again in 2016, we started using these robots in our large scale gigawatt projects. And, now we have made these robots in such a way, like for at least they can run up to 4 kilometers. And these are all intelligent robots. If I'm talking about a gigawatt project, say 10 gigawatt project, I cannot go manually there and, lift or repair or anything. It has all to be a digital or a AI world where I go there and I know it, which part, which location, where it has stopped. So there are numerous examples I can give you from my daily life, daily work life, where we, use these tools.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think the scale and size that we are talking of, which is going to happen very shortly, and it's anyway it's happening, and we are seeing the region that you're talking of. Obviously, then the role is very significant. So if I were to summarize, obviously land is something that everyone spoke of, right? The site selection, there are technologies available. AI as an interface, coming up with the right site data. At the same time, as you said, you can't reject something. Just because somebody has said, and hence our role also comes in as, as human beings in terms of decision making that we are talking of. I think slightly moving ahead, right? And we spoke of digitalization, we spoke of a deep dive of engineering, the workflows, the reporting part of it, land, site, and so on. Now, related to that, the artificial intelligence, I know you did allude to some of these aspects and some of our folks also. But that also has a huge role, right? And I think we can straddle between the development phase and also in terms of the asset maintenance space, right? That we are talking of the role of AI. So I think let me start with Vaibhav, right, in terms of the AI. And I know we were sharing a lot of examples here that what's the future that you see 5 years down the line, but would be good to have your thoughts on the AI journey. augmenting the digitalization phase?
Yeah, I'll just start with whatever discussions we were having. So I don't think those are 5 years. Probably they are 5 days or 5 months, right? So that's the speed with which AI is I would say invading every space, and rightly so. So yeah, so a lot of examples, a lot of things which could be done, which are being done by competitors, by even us. People are trying. Obviously, nothing is commercial scale right now, but you don't know. You never know. I mean, if your competitor is actually using that, and that's the reason why they are having that edge. So the kind of interventions which we were talking about, right now there are many bids, right? There are many bids in the solar space. The central agencies are inviting bids to construct the renewable energy projects. The state agencies are doing the same. And as an organization, there is different risk appetite, whether I want to select this, that. You cannot scan everything, right? And so we go by the general rule of thumb that, okay, this is a state which I prefer, this is an area which I prefer, this is the technology which I prefer, and you do. But as developers, will we be left with these many choices, right? I think probably not. So maybe we'll have to scan further. So can we deploy AI to scan all the bids, right? And get all the parameters which are required for me to take a techno-commercial decision, right? Now, that kind of technology is available right now as we speak. I mean, all of you can just go home, or maybe on your ChatGPT, you can upload a bid, and you just will be amazed with the kind of results which we get, right? So you structure that, and then you are scanning 100 bids in, say, an hour. And you're making those decisions on an hourly basis, whether you want to participate or not. Right, rather than deploying, because otherwise, generally I'll see the BD head will walk up to the CEO and he'll ask, right, whether we should go ahead with this or not, whether I should even deploy my resources on this or not. Now that's no longer a question to be asked, right? So that's the kind of things where then if you go to extreme end, say project delivery, I've seen there are use cases which can be developed. Obviously, I mean, we're not talking of making your the privacy as an issue. But if you allow any of these GPT or the LLMs to read through the emails, right, which are transacting for a project delivery, because a lot of things are random in this industry, right? A lot of issues are regulated. You talk of land, you talk of a regulatory issue, and there is a lot of conversation which is going on in these emails, right? But they hold the knowledge of your project. The moment you're able to get that knowledge, imagine Vivek getting it and being able to quickly put a contractual claim on the customer that this is how and why we have suffered, right? And this is all tagged and all annexed in a way. So I'm not saying, I mean, we make good claim management, but we hold people responsible for this delivery.
No, absolutely.
There are many things which can be done.
Yeah, many things. I think the opportunities are limitless. But coming to you, Vivek, I mean, from the CEO's lens, right? Artificial intelligence.
I think from a CEO or a C-suite decision-making perspective, one of the things that we are constantly on guard is what we call instinct-based decision-making. A lot of people believe that, it's a good form. Actually, instinct is, if you go back deeper, and we say this guy makes, or this person makes a good instinctive decision, it's actually based on data and how you have been able to scout through that. The way AI and especially generative AI are going to change is that it's going to bring in more evidence-based decision-making. And I think when I dwell deep into that subject, we don't have the time, but just suffice to say that the role of generative AI will also require a lot of data to be mined. And I'm not too sure, I'm not the right person to talk about it, how the entire project-related data, because essentially to you be able to use generative AI, the quality of data, the quality of calibration, the quality of questioning, and the quality of output, that what matters. So, for example, if there is a situation on which what could be better than saying that it leads you to a decision, we'll have to still use human intelligence, but you have now a reference point which says, but for that reference point to be available on querying, etc., there is a lot of data lake that is required to be built up. So that is what is going to take time. not the implementation of AI or generative AI in case of capital program delivery. I'm being very specific in terms of capital program delivery. When we talk about business-based, business decision-making based on generative AI models, those are already getting refined as we speak by every minute, etc. The second part which is going to be critical is that till now, whatever we talk about IoT or sensor-based data or whatever data is coming from the sites through camera feeds, etc. When you analyze the possibilities, and we were doing just a brainstorming around, what do you do about a complete modeling of the site based on not just the cameras, those are now 20 years old, but using generative AI of a forecast model. So possibilities are limitless, but in this race of implementing AI, generative AI, I think the people who are doing that, the business cases that are there, they are far more critical revenue generating cases than that for capital program delivery. And that's why we are going to see probably a lag of a year or so before we see it in our real life happening.
Absolutely, I think very well, articulated, right? When it comes to delivery, the importance of data, right? The data lake and everything to be done vis-a-vis in an asset which is to be monitored through IoT devices. Obviously, there's huge amount of data available. You can do prediction in terms of fault detection and the power failure and so on and so forth. No, I mean, absolutely. In fact, recently we had launched as EY, one of our publications for artificial intelligence in the infrastructure and capital program delivery space. And AI, I mean, it's a huge word, right? And there are 6 facets to that. We believe that there are 3 areas which would be very, very important, right, as far as the capital program, delivery is concerned. One is machine learning, which is there in terms of analyzing based on what has happened and coming up with those predictive models that we are talking of. And that's where I think maybe on the engineering design side and so on and so forth, or even the site selection, that we are talking of. The second is the computer vision, right, where the entire geo mapping, the landscaping that again on the site and even on the monitoring of asset side of things that I was talking of. I think that's number 2. And number 3, we believe is the entire LLM, right? And I think that's very well, and especially related to the natural language processing, right? So those elements, which in our usual parlance we call that like through ChatGPT and whatever. So that is going to definitely be transforming some of those areas. So these 3 areas, as far as capital program delivery, would have an important impact, on the entire things. So I think just coming to that now, in terms of now, obviously digitalization is a necessity, as you rightly said. I don't think we can run away from that, right? Now, but in terms of the final outcome, and if I were to just have maybe just 30 seconds from, Lakshit, if you may say that, what is it that you are looking at when you're looking at the digitalization? How is it going to impact any developer and development project?
See, we are working on very thin margins in this industry. And as far as I feel, the major focus is revenue maximization and cost efficiency. So for us, if correct data is available, which in a way is digitization in the basic sense, I think it's very easy to take decisions which have positive long-term impacts. And we've seen that in the past, with us, when we use that tool, it's all about time in the end. So when we have, data available, and the way I think is that data is the new oil. So data going forward will be the major driver in any industry, and be it in our personal lives or in the business world. So I think that is where we see a lot of, I personally see a lot of positive impacts of digitization.
I think better decision making, obviously, then better IRR, as you rightly said, it's so important. And coming to the challenges and risks, Gaurav, if I may pick your brain, right? I mean, this is a known thing. We have to do it. It has to happen, right? But do you believe any challenges and risk which is there? And maybe just a quick 30 seconds on that one.
See, AI is meant for simulating human decisions, what we take, not the other way it should happen. And the risks, obviously, as you said, the data, whatever data is coming in is such a large scale. Obviously, electrically, all the SCADA data from all the different components, it is coming on large cloud-based platforms. Cyber attacks always remain a big thing. And, in the current Ukrainian war going on, there is an example in 2015, there was a big attack on, utility of Ukraine, 2016, 15, 16. So we have to be cognizant of the fact that, how we are moving ahead in terms of the data security. And obviously, what happens because we are dependent upon many manufacturers. There are different components where, across, in the value chain, there are many other players are there. So putting that all data at one particular point and ensuring the security of that remains a key challenge in this industry.
All right, thank you. And Sudhir, your views, challenges, risks for implementing digitalization?
I believe the challenges in digitalization, or let me say AI, is human being. What we understand, like as a philosophy, that AI is like it can do everything. We are the constraint because we are not able to see what it can do. So that is the first challenge, what we believe. And second, definitely, like whatever assets are there, they have a positive data, as Vivek told. So that means we need data for machine to learn. And the mitigation is, yes, now like we were discussing offline, that we need a lot of tag points from our OEMs so that we can fetch all of them and make our machines learn to create big data and then into AI. And very, very important point, like in all those complex bits, wherein we are working on 15-minutely profiles, okay, we believe that with the machine learning, with the forecasting tools, if AI is put on the top of it, we are able to improve our revenue. So I think that is the biggest thing what we foresee as an AI.
Right, thanks. And I know we are at the hour, but just last comments from our panelist. Manoj, if we start with you in terms of, so anyone who's, driving and diving into this realm of digitalization, artificial intelligence, what would be your advice, for the organizations? And you can take a functional view, you can take an organizational view, whatever.
Yes, the functional view I will take up. First, understanding what is the requirement of the organization, because this digitalization is not a short-term goal, it is a long-term goal. You cannot immediately implement on any organization because every organization has their culture. The people are used to use their solution in their way. So providing them adaptability, so there is a requirement of lots of training and providing lots of support from the organization who can provide them the backup, because it is a software thing. People may not have so much digital literacy. So that is mandatory to give them confidence. It is not their job relocation. We are putting you to conventional practice to the new modern technology-based practices.
So I think change management training, I think it's something that you would want, that you're saying that we should have that in the respective domain, because it's not going to replace you, it's going to augment your skills and all.
Yes.
No, absolutely. And Vaibhav, your advice?
Yes, sir. I'll give very pointed advice. I'll say for organization, start early, right? I mean, don't wait for your processes to actually mature. Don't, delay it. Because as early as you start, you'll have a good learning curve, and then you can build your processes. And one important aspect is look into your processes. Look into the way you're working, right? Digitalization is a tool. I would always say, you need to know, you can say, the calculus, right? And then you use the calculator. It's not the other way around, right? So that's the advice one. Then the second advice is that, deploy right people, right? Generally, we have seen, organizations will call the IT head, please, I want to help on digitalization. And that's not how, at least I believe it's going to happen, right? You need people from business. Maybe your best people who are doing best business for you, you need to allocate them for this kind of a job, right? So this is something which obviously we have to perhaps bite the bullet of not that person not being available to the business. But don't just leave it on,
Right.
IT.
So start early and deploy the right people. Gaurav, your advice for organizations?
See, as an organization, the management, they want a quick delivery of everything. So this digitization becomes a bedrock of any project or any conceivable decisions what they are taking. And it starts from the early stage to the end. When we starting, as we said, we touch base on the site selection, we move to the engineering, procurement, construction, at all stages, this tool is very important, which is required. So you cannot live without it. And, you know, obviously, as a company, all the companies are, you know, changing into that and coming into it.
Yeah, so you're saying embrace it. I mean, it's just there. I mean, you have to just embrace it. Sudhir, your views? Advice?
Yeah, so I think we need to create digital twin of an organization, right? So that is in single term, not of a asset, but of an organization. For that, you need a lot of data to be seamlessly integrated, and then definitely then you will see the results. Yeah.
All right. Vivek, if you may.
So I think I'll allude to the whole concept of digitization versus and digitalization. It's when we embark on a digital intervention, we have to realize that we are essentially talking about integrating several technologies, several applications, several work streams that exist across the organization and to deliver seamlessly, which is what was called a platform, okay? Now, that journey is a very cumbersome journey, if I can use that word, because it's not just about equivalent of an SAP HANA implementation or something, where you know what exactly you are going for. That is where it comes. What is the vision of the organization? So organizations which are project-oriented, where the main bread and butter is project delivery, because that forms the basis, will have a very different way of looking at it compared to someone for whom it is also another business. So that's just one example, but critically, as I said, we should evaluate horses for courses, and I go back again to my fundamental premise that it is people who will use this. So what is the maturity? What is the digital maturity? What is the maturity of the organization, the readiness to take it, and the willingness to let decisions happen based on these platforms rather than go back again. The worst form that I have seen in implementation is you have a great tool, but decision making happens still in an archival form.
Yeah, I know what and we have been part of some of those, but that's interesting. Lakshit, last word on your this.
So see, as a leader, I think we need to take the pain and the time to implement these tools and digitizations. I think one major problem that we have already discussed is the user acceptance. And that is, I think, the key to where it all starts. Because if the information is not filled properly or is not filled on time, and that, I think that will hamper the entire, the entire process. So all in all, I think just do it should be the attitude, and this is something new that that we see going forward. So one should be open-minded, to implement new things in life.
Yeah, I think just do it. I think that's a mantra. And as Vaibhav was also saying that don't think too much and start, right? Start somewhere, embrace, as you were also mentioning. And horses for courses, I think very important that we just spoke of. And of course, have the goal in mind, start early and so on. Vaibhav, you want to add something?
Yeah, just one more point. I mean, for the organizations, think in an integrated way. I think what Vivek was also saying. Think in an integrated way. Don't think, I'm going to just go to this pointed solution and solve my life. Maybe it's going to trouble you more couple of months or couple of years down the line. But start with low-hanging fruits. So that's the combination you have to do. You think that you create a universe, but start with a small step of that universe. Because if you start with a very big thing, as he rightly mentioned, the adoption is going to be a huge challenge, right? So that's one more point.
Absolutely. I think integrated, but still start small, but embrace it, but just do it. And horses for courses, don't generalize things. I think that's a good way to end this session. Thank you very much, everyone. I think we straddled across the areas, from site selection, the land that we spoke of, the biggest, I think, issue that currently everyone is facing off with the scale that we are seeing. That's where we believe, I think, role of digitalization, AI in selection of these, sites and so on would be very crucial. We spoke of engineering, deep diving, integration with the procurement elements around that, construction. People gave examples of the piles and how do you really look at it, what's the construction happening, can it give a feedback to someone there and guide how things are happening, and of course the final commissioning, that we are talking of. We did not speak much on the O&M side of things, as I think everyone said, that's fairly mature. I mean, you have IoT devices, you have things of looking at this data, mining it. There are predictive models available to predict in terms of what's the energy failure and hence the fault detection and so on. But I think we have still scratched the surface is what I would suggest and I would submit. But thank you so much, everyone, and look forward to our continued conversations on this. Yeah.
Thank you very, very much. Now we have a small gesture to all our panelists and dignitaries over here on the behalf of REI 17th edition and Informa Marcus. So thank you very much for joining us. Here we go. Meanwhile, I would like to update you all. There is a scanner at that wall. You can get all your pictures in another 10-15 minutes from this session by scanning that scanner. Please do it and get your pictures in another 10 minutes. Thank you. The team will update all your pictures from this session, everybody. You can get your pictures by scanning the scanner. There is a scanner behind. I would request any of you to please do the honor for Mahim sir as well. Anyone from the group? Yes, thank you very much. Thank you very much.